when you go into meditation a lot, or you have traveled or work with medicine, you have to be aware of what is coming in, right? Like, I call about using like a shield, because it's like keeping the door closed to the front of your house. Not because it's out of fear, it's just like you need to knock before you enter my energy zone, right?
I think that the men are responsible for the society changing. And the reason why I say that is that we are built to take the load. We have physically stronger bodies. We can take stress more. So it's our responsibility to be able to take the stress and the load and the physical labor.
So what can we do as men? We can heal, right? Like if we didn't have a father, to become that version that we always wanted. If we didn't have money in our family, to become that version of a person that has the financial stability to then maybe help the next couple generations. We have to become what we didn't have, or we have to become the evolved version of what we did have.
You describe an intense vision involving hidden shadow dynamics inside power structures. What do you believe these visions are showing us about collective healing, and how do you stay grounded when working with such heavy material? Hey Conscious Man 7 family, quick question before we start. Do you love the depth of these conversations but hate when ads break the flow? I get it. Ads can feel like speed bumps on a highway, pulling you out of that deep zone. That's why we created a way for you to enjoy every episode completely ad-free while supporting the show at the same time. For just a few bucks a month on Patreon or Locals, you'll get full access to uninterrupted episodes. You'll get direct access to me so you can ask me any questions that you have, some cool other perks like early releases, and you'll also help us keep bringing you the powerful conversations that mainstream platforms won't touch. The link is in the show notes. Join us there and be part of this movement. Ever look up and see those dull, grey skies streaked with chemtrails, and you feel your energy sink? You're not imagining it. Something in you knows the sky isn't supposed to look that way. But what if you could bring back the blue? What if there was a way to clear the air inside you and above you? That's where the Chembo comes in. They create powerful orgonite, tools that generate orgone energy, the life force that helps neutralize EMFs from your mobile phone, your Wi-Fi, and even 5G. It's nature's way of restoring balance, bringing cleaner air, calmer energy, and deeper sleep. Every piece from the Chembo is handmade, from tactical tower busters to beautiful pyramids and jewelry, crafted with the precise ingredients to generate real orgone energy. And here's the best part. They've proven it. For over 10 years, they've cleared thousands of miles of chemtrails, bringing the blue back to the skies around the world. So if you're ready to take back your weather and your well-being, go to thechembo.com. Use coupon code CM7 for 10% off and experience the shift for yourself. Don't fear the chemtrails or the EMF. Be empowered with the Chembo and never feel helpless again. If you are new to this podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share, because that helps us to be recommended in the algorithms. If you would like to support this podcast, please check out our merch store on Amazon with the brand Todd and Me. We've got some cool t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and sweaters. Link will be in the description of this podcast. And if you're now starting a spiritual journey, you would like to start a spiritual journey, or you're currently on a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, please hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246 and it will help you to get some magic mushrooms. Enjoy the show and stay tuned, because we have some more great content coming soon. What if everything you've been taught about masculine strength is backwards? What if real power has nothing to do with dominance and everything to do with healing? Hello beautiful and amazing people. Welcome back to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. I am your host Todd Cave. Today's guest left Broadway, walked away from Hamilton, and stepped into the jungle, where he discovered a truth most men alive today have never been shown. Seth Stewart, performer, seeker, author of Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth, exposes the hidden wound behind modern masculinity, the pressure to perform instead of the permission to feel. He spent 14 years in immersive spiritual training, from sweat lodges to silence, from ceremony to disciplined presence, and today he reveals exactly what men must do to reclaim emotional strength, grounded leadership, and authentic power. If you're a man searching for clarity, or you love a man who's struggling, This conversation will shift something in you. Stay with us. You're about to hear a roadmap for healing the masculine that every father, son, and brother needs to know.
When truth is blurred by lies and misinformation, perception becomes reality. What will you perceive your reality to be?
Liberate your fears and walk with me.
Sit down and meditate. Connect with your soul.
Be a monster and then learn how to control it.
You got to be willing to do the work.
So it really goes really deep in terms of words and etymology and what they mean. So this is why it is really hard to really crack the matrix, because there's so many levels and layers to it, Seth, welcome to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, man. I'm really keen to talk to you today. I had listened to some of your previous podcasts, and I was like, okay, this guy, I need to talk with him because, I find that today we don't really have a lot of spaces for men, and I think maybe it's a consequence of the history that we've had where, the feminine has been really suppressed. So they had a lot of groups and spaces for them to recover. But what is really the irony about that is that even though the masculine was, quotation marks, in power, it was coming from a wounded place. So what was happening is that we were expressing certain things, not knowing why we were expressing. So we were trying to dominate, not knowing why we were doing it. And what's happened now is that we shifted so far from one side to the next that now that, we have a change in consciousness, men now are starting to realize, well, hold on a minute. Well, yeah, I'm a human too. I still have feelings. I've been bottling it up for years, like help, and because of that, we see a lot of suicides with men. We see a lot of, men losing homes, going depressed. And, the work you're doing is there to help men. And this show is primarily for men, but for people. But I think that masculinity and men play a big part of it, because today you're not even allowed to express masculinity because everything is toxic masculinity, which is actually inverted. So I'm really keen to talk to you today. So yes, my friend, let's jump straight into your origin story and turning point and, share with the audience, your journey, because to go from Broadway to going into the jungle, that had to be some story. So you walked away from a marquee Broadway career, Hamilton, In the Heights, and you chose the jungle instead. Take us to the exact moment you felt called to leave the stage. What broke open inside of you?
So when I was doing the last show, I had taken over a lead role and I was backstage in between numbers. And, I had worked my meditative practice. I've been in meditation since I was like 18. And so I know what my higher voice, my higher self sounds like. I know what God sounds like. And literally, like in an instant, I just had the vision and knew that it would be my last Broadway show and that I would have to kind of go find my medicine. And it happened just like that. I'm hunched over, drinking water, sweating. My reality just kind of goes away, goes silent for a minute, and my higher self just kind of lets me know that my path is going to take me on my medicine route. I'll call it my medicine route.
Wow.
What that meant is I needed to go find who I was beyond a performer. I needed to go find what was needed, which turned out to be, helping people, but specifically men, get back to their heart, get back to their divinity, and really connect with the earth again. But I had to go walk the path first. And so it was literally a flash instant. It maybe happened for 10 seconds. And then I had to get back on stage and I followed it. I followed that call.
Wow, that is amazing because, like, you know, I, as men, and I guess when I say men, I umbrella that to women as well, because we've all been sold it, like generally all of us. And, we're taught, go to school, get yourself a nice, secure job, work for 40 years of your life and retire on 40% of your salary. And then there are a subsection of people that go and have exceptional careers. They go and do exactly what they wanted to do in Bollywood, Hollywood, Nollywood, Broadway, actor, star, singer, and they make a ton of money.
Mhm.
And then it's like, what we were told is like, hey guys, get all of this money, your life is going to be great, everything's going to change, and you're going to be happy. But that wasn't really the situation for you, I'm assuming. You did well in your career, and then you just felt this emptiness, no?
I had always bounced between Broadway and the Forest, whether it was public or not. So after my second Broadway show, I went to the Forest and I worked at a primitive skills school for about 6 months. And before that, I had taken classes at this primitive skills school. So I was already getting close to the earth. I was taking those classes back in 2010, and I was interning by 2012 for 6 months. And then I went to create a business, and then I went into Hamilton, that Broadway show, and then went back to the forest and the jungles in Peru and Costa Rica and all over the place working with shamans and things like that. So I kind of always bounced back and forth over a 14-year period. Because the truth that I found is it's, money is a tool. As men, we are providers. So for, your partnership, I personally believe that being the predominant provider, or at least having the ability to, but each relationship is different. But yeah, the money doesn't add up to complete fulfillment and complete connection with your higher self and God. That's the inner work that you have to do on your own time. And I always felt really complete because I was always pretty much doing what I loved, even if it was hard work. So though I was a performer, I was always doing what I loved. Even though I went to the jungle, I was doing what I loved, and I was working with other, people and learning the lands and learning trees and all these things. I was doing what I loved. And so the biggest thing that I realized is, like, if you follow what you do and you love it, and there's maybe somehow a financial exchange to be had, that's beautiful. So I was never out to really, I was out to make good money, but it was because I loved what I did first that the money came. And I just kept doing bigger and bigger shows because I love my art form. And it's kind of the same thing with my men's group, True Kings. Like, I love helping other men. I love really helping the light bulb go off in their mind and them really reconnecting to their heart. And I don't care for it to be a business. I have 2 other businesses that make me my income. So for me, I'm making sure that as a spiritual man wanting to lead other men become leaders, that I don't create a business of it. So I have this weird juxtaposition where I really want to help more people, really want to help more men. I have to have some business aspect behind it, but it does not rub me the right way for it to be about money. And so I had to adjust and say, I need businesses elsewhere so that I can provide for these men, and my intention is pure. And if money comes from retreats or doing the courses, great. But I think people realize is that you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't know your why, then you're only doing it about the money. And then people don't know who they are. So I think you can make a lot of money if you're doing what you love, or if you have a why that is beyond yourself. And that's a paradigm shift that's happening right now. Service to others is the paradigm shift. It fills us all up. We help each other as a global community. And there's always a pretty beautiful return of energy. So people that do things just for themselves, just to make the money, and then they get all the money, but they have no purpose, they have no vision, it always comes back to make them have to look at themselves in the mirror and see and figure out why and who they really are.
Yeah, I agree, because I interviewed Peter Kennedy on my show, and he sold his tech company, made 140 million. And, the model should have been make 140 million, yay, life is great, everything is fantastic, I'm done, and I've achieved it all. But he had a complete like identity meltdown because his entire identity was associated to the selling of that company. And he went in the jungle, had to find himself. And what is happening now is that a lot of people are realizing, hold on a minute, even though I have all this money, I'm not happy. I may not see my family. You know what I mean? I don't do things with them. And one of my mates, he always says that money doesn't make you happy. It just shows you what is really there inside of you, but on a elevated level. Because now you can get all the trinkets, you can have all the quotation marks fun, but those things still leave you empty on the inside. And he says that you would know who are your real friends because when the money is gone, the ones that are still there with you are your real ones. Because he said to me, he's a multimillionaire, that all of a sudden when you get money, you get all these cousins and friends and aunts and uncles you never knew about. And he says it's almost like a curse because it's almost like you want to give it all back because you have all of this, but then you realize that the people that are surrounding you are people that are just there to try to take from you, you know? So it's this kind of weird paradigm with money. And I think money is a tool, and I think that is just an energy exchange. But I think that the worship of the money, that what we were told subconsciously, causes a lot of the problems, you know? So
I agree.
So you've described the city as a circuit board that overstimulates the nervous system. What did you begin to see about yourself, your energy, and modern life that made nature the only place you could hear truth?
When you come into awareness, right? When you're in nature, you have to listen, like actually listen beyond yourself. And so we have our physical self, and then we have like our critical edge, the energy around us. Like we know our critical edge when somebody like gets a little bit too close to us. That's what I call our critical edge. And that's like a sphere around our body, right? And beyond that critical edge is what is called the threshold. Now, this is one of the things I learned from my mentor. But when you're in nature, you have to listen beyond yourself for where the animals are, where humans are that you may not, want to interact with. So your awareness comes beyond yourself. And so, when you're out in nature for an extended period of time, you have to ask yourself, like, how are you feeling? Or you have to ask yourself, what's going on outside of me? You just have to have a much higher awareness. And everything's slower. So that the baseline, right, the speed or the sound baseline of nature is so much calmer. You only know something's going on if you hear a lot of birds or animal activity. So my whole central nervous system shifted to a natural baseline. Same thing with, going to bed close to when the sun sets and when it comes up, that circadian rhythm, that's our natural baseline for our central nervous system. You can't necessarily get that in the city. I can now much better, but because I have that training. So what's really happening when you were talking about that circuit board is that it's somewhat easier to exist because things are more convenient in a city, but we are connected to the circuit board of the city, and it is very much a matrix. So when we come to nature, people will notice they breathe different. They're more afraid, which, we shouldn't be. We have to reconnect to nature. I think you can do both. I think you can live in a city and still have a regulated central nervous system if you're balancing it with going to a park or being around trees and being around the frequency of trees, right? Like trees are running a toroidal field of energy from the sun through the earth and back up. And there's a lot that can regulate your central nervous system like that, even with trees in the city. So the biggest thing I'm seeing is that it's hard for people to regulate if they don't have nature. They don't have the baseline of nature or know how to at least attune back to it. And so nature is the natural medicine. It's the easiest access to medicine from just being out there with the sun and the trees, or just actually eating the herbs and, things that grow from the earth that you can see with your own eyes grew from the earth. So we're going to have to start reattuning even quicker back to the earth for so many reasons: central nervous system, health, and even just our heart and our mind.
All the conversations that I have had, there's really one common theme, and everyone talks about going back to the earth. And it is almost like if we've forgotten that we are part of the earth and the earth is part of us. And the thing is, right, is like when you go to a funeral, it is actually clear there. They say, from ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And then over time, that body, that coffin will all disintegrate and go back to the earth. They'll be just the bones, right?
Mhm.
And that is a clear representation that we and the earth are one. But somehow after we go into school and we come out, we completely forget that. And every single person talks about reconnection with earth and how much balance you get. And, people laugh at other people that say, oh, they're tree huggers. But in reality, if you hug trees, you actually get stress relieved, People may think it's woo-woo, but it actually happens, I've tried it.
Yes, same. Now here's the thing, like I lived in the listen, I grew up in the Midwest. I lived in New York for over half of my life. I lived in the Bronx. I lived in Queens for extended periods of time. I've been in so many different types of demographic areas, cities, jungles, whatever. You can live where you may need to live. Just go get you some nature. So everything that we're talking about so far in this conversation is you have clearly deprogrammed the BS that we've been taught. I've clearly been deprogrammed from the BS we've been taught. And then we're looking around the world being like, how don't a lot of other people see it? How are they missing nature? They just haven't let go of their programming. And so where I've come to at this point, that's part of my mission, is to help people deprogram at their pace. And that programming is simply one of the first steps is getting them back into their heart, into their breath work, and back to nature. 1 and 2. Those are the first two things. Because once you know yourself, once you can hear yourself, you know how you feel, you can express yourself, then it's easier to start to get more of the divine connection. Once you go to Earth Mother and you start to, really reconnect with her, feel her trees, hear her birds, hear the songs, the orchestra, that's 1 and 2. And it's all natural. So we are living in a world, like you're saying, of circuit board cities and programmed people. And we have to know how to move like Neo. So Yeshua was a Neo to me, there's a lot of Neos here. And I'm just at a place in my life as an older man that I don't think the Matrix definitely does upgrade. There is an architect to this. There is an architect. That goes way deeper than I don't know if we should go, but all that said, it is very much like a video game. The deeper I've gone spiritually to look and see why is all of this programmed the way that it is, well, we all know why. We are being used and programmed and then being fed off of. And being fed off of whether that's fear or being programmed consumers and worker bees. So at some point, we're going to realize that the system is there. And I think I'm at the point, Todd, where I realized you can only light up yourself, know who you are, know how you are connected to God and you are a piece of God, and just align with others. Because I think where we're going globally is split timelines and survival of the fittest.
Definitely,
So
I agree.
We can't. We can share and have these conversations, but we cannot waste our energy on people that are not ready to walk down the path with us. If they're not, we don't judge them. We just keep walking towards our light and to where God calls us. And it's that simple for me. It's that black and white for me. God's saying go that way. I'm going that way. Y'all coming? No. See ya. Maybe I won't.
Deuces.
But I'm being magnetized towards other people. I'm being magnetized towards other places who are also in a vibrational alignment. And that's all I care about anymore. I really don't think we can waste time with people that don't get it. It is a waste of our time. It is us looking back, and we just got to look forward to the world we want to create within this matrix system, which is our natural baseline. So sorry to overtake that, but
No, it is true. And the thing is that to get to that place, you need to have spiritual practices and discernment.
Mhm.
So, we have, like, I guess you can say a lot of in the alternative media, people talk about ayahuasca and what's not. So you speak about ceremony dietas, vetting facilitators, and being called. So what does a responsible ceremony look like, and what dangers should people be aware of?
Mm. I've done many, I want to say many, enough ayahuasca ceremonies in Peru, deep in Peru. Um, uh, and I've done sweat lodges. I've done ceremonies without any medicine. I think the plant medicine of Mama Aya is very beautiful. I think that, to keep it very brief, you should only go into ceremony with her if you are absolutely called, not because you want to trip, but because you're absolutely called. You will know the calling. It's undeniable. She will show up in your dreams. You will know it. That's number one with any medicine from the earth. Two, I truly believe that it only should be distributed and worked with by indigenous peoples. Um, but again, they even need to be vetted. And what I mean by vetted is that you need to know people that have worked with that shaman, or it's kind of hard because some of them are, how do you get a Yelp review on a shaman? You don't, you have to kind of use your intuition. And so, um, from what I've experienced, I've dealt with shamans of the light that are great, that are really there to be great facilitators with the medicine for the people. And I've met another shaman that, the more I've come online, and they're you can be fed off of in a plant ceremony as well. And so you have to, before you go see anybody, if you are really called to it, you have to know who the shaman is and get as much information on that person as possible. And you have to know how to create your own container, your own safe container while in the ceremony. And you can do that without the medicine. So a safe container is an energetic container where you're protected from anything coming, into your energy sphere. But you can you can lose your mind taking the plant medicine. I almost did one of my last journeys, but Mama Aya told me I didn't need to work with her anymore, that she was, I got the lessons that I needed to get. It's a beautiful, mind blowing, life altering experiences, but it is a medicine. So I don't think that you only need so much of it. Again, if you are called. So I just, want to make sure that I am an advocate for it, but only for those that are called, and only with shamans that are really care about the people, because there are dark shamans out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons too why I interviewed my shaman, Remy Delon, on my show. And I tell people that if they're interested in actually doing ayahuasca, to check that interview, all of his details in there. I think that is episode 37 or something like that.
Mhm.
And if people really want to, because you are in the jungle in Mexico, we don't have to travel all the way to Peru, right?
Mhm.
And that way, it's easy. Episode 32, Journey Beyond the Veil, Unlocking the Secrets of Ayahuasca and Psychedelics with Remy Delon. So if people are interested in, visiting the mother, check that. Number 32, his links are in there. And it's easy for people to get to because you can go to the Tulum airport and they will pick you up. And, I've done 2 walk and talk videos from there. So you can see me there. So that, that's the place that I go. And it's easy to get to. And just 1 hour and a half away, then you're in Tulum, which is a city. So you don't have to go all in the jungle in Peru, which, not that Peru is bad, but it's just that for most Americans, it's much easier, right? It's just down the border, right down south. And he also said the same thing to me about having dark shaman. And he said, if you see a shaman with a Rolex or a very expensive watch, he says I would think twice about actually going to sit with that shaman. And, he also said that, the spiritual realm is like any normal city where you have good people and bad people. And in the spiritual realm, you will meet good entities, bad entities. They have good shaman, they have bad shaman, right? So he said the same thing. You just need to, find out as much information as you can about the person you sit with. And obviously, like you said, there's no Yelp, there's no reviews. But once you start to get into the medicine community, the names travel, and you will find out who has a good reputation and who doesn't. So, yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. And it calls for, I guess, a spiritual discernment protocol. So you teach a simple but powerful protocol, asking any spiritual presence, who are you and why are you here? How did that arise? And how can modern seekers use discernment without slipping into fear?
Yeah. So discernment is very easy. Discernment is deciphering what energies are around you. And everybody has felt it. Like everybody can feel when a person is around them, they're like, I don't trust this person. Or they can, be around a person that they're like, oh my gosh, it feels like we're old friends, right? That's discernment, right? That's awareness. It's your beyond your five senses paying attention. So it's the same thing in the spiritual, right? Like I was taught, and I believe that, we have our physical sphere that we live in. We have this force energy where we can do spiritual things. And then we have the spiritual realms, which are many, many layers of, spiritual things that exist in the different realms of the spiritual worlds. And so when you go into meditation a lot, or you have traveled or work with medicine, you have to be aware of what is coming in, right? Like I call about using like a shield, because it's like keeping the door closed to the front of your house. Not because it's out of fear. It's just like you need to knock before you enter my energy zone, right? Just out of respect of stepping into my house, even my spiritual house, right? So simple questions is that I was always taught when I'm trying to understand how I feel, what's going on with me, is how does this make me feel, right? And I asked that multiple times. And I'm more trying to feel it than I am to hear it or think about it. I just get feelings and visions and things like that. So it's the same thing. You're going to come across different types of beings, whether they're extraterrestrial, angelic, demonic. It's just worlds within worlds out there in the spiritual realms. So I simply ask a being that I have not worked with, who are you? And I will wait, and I'll either hear it or I'll get some sort of visual. I'll get a visual of Saint Germain might pop up or something like that. And then I'll ask it two or three other times. So 3 times at least in total. A lot of what we've noticed in the past 10 years within the spiritual community is there are really great channelers, but I don't need to let anything within my being in order to communicate with it. Because why? There is trickster energy in the field that is targeting beings of the light. And they are going to try to cloak themselves or shapeshift themselves into beings of light. And a lot of people in the spiritual community over the past decade basically got. They thought they were talking to Yeshua and it turned into something else, but they didn't use their discernment. They didn't look further. The same way somebody might date somebody and think, oh my God, they're so amazing. But did you really look at their background? You know what I mean? Like, did you do a background check? So what I'm talking about in asking these beings, who are you? What do you want? Or how can I help? Is your background check on these beings. And so that will really allow you to decipher what's going on. Because again, these might just be interactions in passing. Some beings might need help getting to the light. Some other beings might be there to teach you a lesson to pay attention. So I look at the spiritual realm somewhat similar to the way I look at the physical realm, because I'm always going to be interacting with beings off and on throughout my life. It's only because I have an awareness beyond the physical dense realm. That's it. So use your discernment, do your background checks, like shield yourself up, kind of the way you would wear a jacket or a seatbelt, and just ask the questions, who are you? And wait to get an answer. And if you don't feel comfortable, just blast them out of your space or just close your spiritual door. As simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. And they have to tell you who they are and why they're there and all that kind of stuff. Is, you know, this
And you
is how
might
it
get a
works.
message, and you might get a message and you can ask, like, is what you're saying true?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you hear nothing, say, all right, then you gotta go.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's the thing, right? Like, they actually have to tell you, or
Mhm.
if they don't tell you by having silence, no, this entity or character is not here for my best interest. So it's like, thank you very much, but I'll talk to you later, and
Yeah,
keep it pushing. You know.
exactly.
So let's get into healing the masculine. So you say true kings don't dominate, they heal. What does healing-based leadership look like in the daily life of a modern man?
That's what it feels like, I think. You know, I think people feel the presence of a healed man. I think they feel the safety. I think they feel the lightheartedness. Now, don't get it twisted, right? The divine man, to me, the divine man means he is connected to his heart and he's connected to God. Okay. Um, but what it looks like for the modern day man is a man that will take care of his partner or take care of his company or take care of his friends in the fact that they feel safe to talk to him without feeling judgment. They feel an ease, a safety, but there's also expectations with a divine male, right? There's also, we can be cool, we can be calm, but we are here to elevate ourselves. Because for those of us like you and me, we know we're here to enjoy Earth. We know we're here to enjoy these experiences. However, we know we are here for evolution. There has never been a species that hasn't evolved in some capacity, you know? And so the feeling around a divinely led masculine male is that safety, is all that stuff, but it's the expectation that we are going to do our work, we are going to heal together, and even in business, get your shit done. Like, we have goals, we have these things in reach in order to help other people or in order to get things done in a timeline. And that would be the same even if we were living off grid. We got to chop wood, we got to carry water. It's just like the native people have always done. We got to get those bananas off the tree. You know what I mean? Or we might have to do a boar hunt. Like, this is just, it is what it is. So there's expectations to be a better version of yourself. But with the non-toxic, the non-dominant divine masculine, he's going to do it for himself first and be a leading example of that. But ultimately, it's how it feels to be around that person. And they're not just there for their ego or their money. They're there to make sure everybody learns, to make sure everybody eats, to make sure everybody feels elevated and is having fun. And that is changing. I see it in a lot of businesses happening right now. And they also let females lead or co-lead. And whether that's in a relationship or in business.
One of the things that I also see that we have today is that a lot of men don't take responsibility. And this is in terms of relationships and parenting. And because you would hear a lot of women say that, oh, the men just left. They just didn't take any responsibility. And I think that is a travesty because, a man, that is really the world of a man. You have to take responsibility. You take ownership of what happens, right? Like, if you make a mistake, you put your hand up. So, all right, I messed up. And you stand on business and you rectify the situation instead of running away. And I think that the one of the real keys to solving the problems that we have is for the men to be able to heal. Because, I can get a little controversial here, but I think it's merited. I think that the men are the responsible for the society changing. And the reason why I say that is that we are built to take the load. We have physically stronger bodies. We can take stress more. So it's our responsibility to be able to take the stress and the load and the physical labor. At the same time, when we are able to do that and take responsibility, it means then that you can have the female now to be in a situation where she's like, okay, well, I feel safe, so I can let go. But what's happening now is that because the men are not taking responsibility, you have the overcompensation on the female side, then we end up raising children in a single parent house that don't have the leadership to show them, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't hang with those friends, and maybe you shouldn't be, watching those kind of movies, or, maybe you shouldn't be on so much technology, X, Y, Z. So what's happening now is that because of the lack of the man in the house, which was the protector and the provider, the security, you're having to have one person do it all, and they don't have eyes at the back of their heads, so a lot of stuff gets missed. So then now you have this cycle where you have damaged children who have children that have more damaged children, and then have more damaged children. So we have this cycle going on, all because, in my humble opinion, I think the man has been taken out the house. So I think that one of the root problems is not the root problem or the root cause, but one of them is the lack of the man and the true masculine energy, essence, and taking responsibility, which is really lacking. So we have like a crisis right now with men just don't even know who they are.
1,000%. That was all a part of a program too. That's a program that was created, and to take the men out of the house so that the women are, whether that's take men to war, take the men to war, World War I, World War II, Vietnam,
True.
in any country, or shoot, we can even go further back, right? Like the Willie Lynch letter. And when it comes to slavery, if you dominate and break down the black male, the black family breaks down. That was a program. The Willie Lynch letter was a program that's definitely still that's still kind of perpetuating the black community in a way, which is to break down the black male, and then the family doesn't exist. Or take men, or kind of working towards modern day, take men to that, or really start to make every man toxic. Now, we have a responsibility that no matter what to kind of return home, but we lack templates. So how do we solve this problem moving forward is what I care about. Okay, I understand it was taken away from females and all that stuff. And now both sides are toxic because the women have been left alone for over a century or most centuries. And we can talk about this any culture, China, you know what I mean? Japanese culture, Russian culture, Armenian culture, here in America. If you look at, that's what I look at, the bigger picture. I see it in every culture, to where, except Spain, it seems like, I don't know Spanish men, but there seems more romanticism in Spain. But we're leaving our partnerships and it's only like coming together for a certain amount of time. So healing that whole thing and kind of coming back together in divine union is going to take time. So what can we do as men? We can heal, right? Like if we didn't have a father, to become that version that we always wanted. If we didn't have money in our family, to become that version of a person that has the financial stability to then maybe help the next couple generations. We have to become what we didn't have, or we have to become the evolved version of what we did have, and then become that template, right? So what I've prayed on and I've asked God, what can I do? Where can I fill the gaps? One was to help men, which is why it's called True Kings Academy, because it's a place you come to learn, but to become the template. And so there are a lot of great men out there. There are a lot of great partnerships out there. They normally happen in silence. So for that degradation of the divine relationship, that degradation of men to where they are now, or women to where they are now, we have to become the templates, the highest version of ourselves, and then emanate that. And then make sure that the people that are around us are embodying their highest versions of themselves. All we can do from here on out, I'm telling everybody, this is a paradigm shift. It is going to be survival of the fittest in so many ways. So all you can do is be the best version of yourself. And any other younger man or older man around you say, that's not how we do things anymore. That toxic shit is done. This is how we move forward, period. And so it's using your voice. That is one place where men do need to use their power. You see some young men or men your age doing some foul shit, shut it down. We don't even have to get into a fight. But y'all know that's not what the world needs anymore. So we have to, that's where I think we need to use our power as vocal power. You know, women, if you're letting all this stuff happen to you, be a good man to a female friend and tell her you don't deserve that and you need to have higher expectations for yourself. But what's happening right now is we are in, I see both, Todd, to be honest with you. I see a pool of people that are struggling to just be in relationships or be within them true selves. But I also see a pretty decent percentage of people that are in healthy relationships, or at least within healthy relationships for themselves. So I see degradation, but I also see evolution happening on this planet. I think that's only possible because I'm looking for the evolution part. I see this other part, but all I can do is template myself to couples and people and businesses and spiritual people that are elevating themselves, and only give a hand when somebody that is in a degrading relationship or a broken home wants to elevate. We can't go get them. They have to come meet us halfway. That's just what it is. I think from what I understand to this point in my life so far, I've tried to go get them, but they're not ready. And then I'm there years wasting my time, Todd. So I think for anybody, if you want to get out, you're going to have to meet your mentor halfway.
It's true. It's true because, like I was telling you off camera, like I was talking to a recent family member and they didn't realize that they were a normie, and I completely forgot because I haven't spoken to them in many, many years.
Not funny.
And I said certain things and it kind of like shocked me because I was like this is just like normal stuff, right? Like I'm not even going down the full rabbit hole here. And then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they're a normie. So what you're saying is true. Those people can't be saved. And basically what you're going to have to do is just leave them. You're going to have to love them, but you leave them because unless they're willing to meet you halfway where they want to learn, sadly, they're just going to have to come back here and redo it again and learn, because this is what it is about. Here is a place for evolution, is a place for learning, is a place for giving the soul growth. But what we have is like this silent crisis that we have where people are feeling and knowing deep inside of them that something is wrong, but they're just not really expressing it because I think of fear of being fear fitting in, fear of the going against the program, you know?
And what I would tell them is I promise them that there is a community out there for them. I promise. If they seek, though.
It's the fear that they have, you know?
To not seek, to not look for answers? You think so?
Yeah, because when I saw the look in my family members' eyes, and I was like, gosh, man, it is just rooted in fear, because they didn't even want to hear anything, not even just like to say, okay, you know, Todd, I don't agree with that, but why do you say that? What gives you, even if they want to say, well, what gives you the right to have these opinions or express these views? If you want to take it to be combative like that, I could diffuse that situation and say, okay, well, here is what it is, because I can reply to lower down the energy and lower the elevation of the conversation. Right. It wasn't even that. It was like, I don't want to hear at all. It was almost a situation. Dude, I swear it was almost a situation where they put their hands on their ears. Almost. It was like the action was there, but they didn't fully do it. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I just have to say, bless them, they don't know, and just leave it as that, right? You love them because they're family, but you just can't talk about certain things because it's just way above their pay grade, you know, as my mother says. So you've said men face a silent crisis: isolation, suppressed emotion, outdated expectations. What does this crisis look like from inside the men you work with?
Isolation is the biggest one, and so especially as men get older. But again, you have to seek your community, right? Where True Kings is going to be mostly online. Like come 2026, I'm going to open up just once a month just a free open circle. You want to talk about whatever? Come talk. We could talk about NBA. We could talk about 12D Christ consciousness. We could talk about crypto and everything in between, right? But it's going to be free. 1 hour, probably first Monday. We're going to do another prayer circle. Doesn't matter what your beliefs. You can just come into that prayer circle, pray for your family, pray for the earth, pray for your city, pray for your brother that's trying to go to school and ball out. You know what I mean? Just a prayer circle. Somebody's sick in your family. We all pray for your family. It's going to be free, right? But I noticed that it's online so that no matter where men are, they at least can come twice a month for free and start to build some community. But in the history of mankind, in the history of humanity, men have mostly been in communities. So it's only been in this last, in my opinion, it's only been in this last like 50 years that men have kind of split out and completely isolated from technology. We don't even have softball, men don't even go to softball leagues or basketball leagues as much. They do, but we have to get in community. We have to get into community. Our community is spiritually led. It's healing led, it's spiritually led, but we do talk about making finances, we do talk about purchasing homes and land and things of that sort. But that isolation is what I've noticed is that men that are isolated, they run scenarios over and over and over in their head. Either why am I not good enough, or why can't I make enough money, or whatever the program is, they keep running it over and over in their head until they come to the group and everybody's like, you're actually good, chill out. Or we give them healing tools to get out of that loop. I've been isolate in the woods by myself for 3 years, but I had nature to commune with. If I didn't have nature to commune with and God to commune with, you would absolutely go crazy. So the biggest thing I've seen is that men are isolated. They're scrolling like crazy. They have nobody to talk to, and they don't even know how they feel because they're looping thoughts. So again, twice a month, starting next year again, we're going to be running free circles for men to just come talk, learn, and another time to pray. Even if you've never prayed, you can pray into whatever you believe in, as long as it's of a light, as long as it's of God, And so, but how do you combat that? You have to seek community. So we can't say, oh, there's nobody else that does anything free, or there aren't enough men groups. There are enough men's groups. There are plenty of men's groups to join. Some are online, some are on person. You have to do the work. But I think we need that community. Young men need to see older men who are in shape, or who are spiritually led, or who are really good at business, right? Every great person, even Tony Robbins, even Myron Golden, if y'all know who Myron Golden is, they all are in their 50s and 60s, and they still talk about having mentors. So men need mentorship at no matter what age. It's just who we are, because we are used to tribal living. It is in our DNA to have tribal living. We don't have that anymore. So we have to come back to that. That is our natural way of being. And tribal living could be once a month, just meeting up with friends and going hiking, or going to ball out at the gym. But you got to get near other people, either online or physically, to get out of your own mental. And that's the biggest thing I've seen in the past 2-3 years.
What you said about isolation is so true, because if you ask most men, so if you have a problem, who do you call? And
Right.
most men are going to say no one. And amongst men, for right or for wrong, this is how most of us feel. We don't feel like there's anyone to call, like if you have real help. And I saw a reel, or I don't know if it was on Instagram or YouTube, and they had a compilation of clips of men, and they asked me the same question. So if you have an issue or you have a challenge, who do you call? And they said, no one. you know, who is there to call, right? Well, no, on the flip side, a woman, women, they have, but the funny thing is they have men to call most of the time. But we somehow, I don't know if it's programming, if it's how the society was built, how it actually works, I don't know, but we don't ever feel like there's anyone to call. And I think that that causes us to live almost like, or feel like we are an island, you know, and there's just no one there. And then that, and I think maybe to touch on the point you're saying, we don't have role models anymore. We don't have like mentors. We don't have these clubs for men to go and chill with other men because, you know, like as soon as you leave university or school and you go to work, then you have the other thing now is like to make money. That's the next God you need to serve. And who has time to hang in men's clubs and to play football with the lads and stuff like that when you have to make money, right? So it's almost like this double-edged sword, this dichotomy where it's like we just can't get out, you know, this never-ending cycle of loops, you know?
So again, you have to make time to get your workout in, right? I can't remember the guy's name, but you're going to get the same 24 hours today as you are tomorrow, as you are for the rest of your life. So you have to make time to get your workout in. You have to make time to get your prayer or your meditation in. You only need 8 hours a day to do your work that brings you cash flow, really. Sometimes when you're creating a business, you need 10 to 14 hours, right? But my coach always told me there's 24 hours in a day. You only need about 8 hours to work. You only need about an hour to work out. You only need about 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night to get your meditation or prayer in and stay consistent with it. That still leaves time for 6 to 8 hours of sleep. That still leaves time to hang out with your girlfriend or partner or whoever you got in your life or your family. There's still time in a day. So I think that everything that men are going through, they have to get up and fight. That is the fight. They have to find their community because I'm telling you all right now, there are many great men's circles out there. There are many great mentors that do one-on-one and courses. I'm one of many. So there are places to call. They have to seek it. And more men that have had life experiences, you don't have to be the perfect mentor. You don't even have to charge. But men that are at least 35 and up need to start making themselves accessible to mentor. That is how we heal this over the next decade. So in order to combat it, all I'm looking at is what do we need to do as men? We need to operate in our highest template. We need to know what that is. What's the highest version of Seth? What's the highest version of Todd? We need to literally architect that, see it, feel it every day. And then we need to make ourselves available. And we need to create more community so that if you can't get to me, I can send you to Todd. If you can't get to Todd, we're going to send you to somebody else. So we have to architect this for men because we have to do it for our daughters, our other female friends. You know what I mean? We have to rebuild this forward. So what I really care about right now, what I'm fired up about, because this is part of my God mission, is that we have to be the solution for these men. And the solution might be just picking up the phone, like you're saying, and saying, hey, what do you need? I may not have the answers, but I'm here for you. But there are men out there. I'm telling y'all right now, the solutions, the communities, they are out there. True Kings Academy, we are just one of them. So how do we fight the isolation crisis? Men need to speak up. Men need to look for it. And men that are old enough and have had life experience need to make themselves available. And you don't even need to make anything big out of it. Just let the men in your community know, hey, I'm here to talk.
It's true. It's true. So for men conditioned to perform instead of feel, what is the first breakthrough that changes everything?
Being honest with yourself. Like saying this sucks, you know? And sometimes, listen, men have to do the things that others may not want to, and we can find honor in that. So the performative aspect you're going to get tired of it, right? It's the same as like chasing money. You're going to get tired of it. If you sleep with a bunch of different people, you're going to get tired of it. That's all part of the performative aspect. That's all part of your ego. Your true self will really just feel so much more comfortable being in your body and being your true self. And so the easiest way to break through is like always come back to who am I and what do I represent? I just keep it simple.
Okay. So can you share a real example where masculine healing completely changed a relationship or a family?
I don't know why I'm going back to Martin Luther King right now. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm seeing him right now. I can give an example. I can't give who the friend was, but who held on through tumultuous times in what his family was going through, and took a whole 3 years. But 3 years later, they are healed up. Their family is making more money. They live in a $2 million house now, all because the man chose not to let his ego get in the way of what he wanted and chose his family over that. I think that there are more examples, but yeah, I'm just going to be honest. Like, we have a lot of expectations that I don't think are appreciated. It's another reason why
Facts.
you need a men's group or a mentor, you know?
Facts.
And sometimes you actually need to verbalize, this is what I actually, if you're a man and you know you get stuff done, you actually got to verbalize, I need some more appreciation. I need a cheerleader, right? I need some of that. But then you also got to ask yourself, am I doing the same for the things that I'm asking for? So we need appreciation a lot more. We need to speak up for it, but then we also need to say, are we getting appreciated? I think it's very simple. Just be a good person and like be in your heart space. Know what you need and be willing to offer the same in relationships, in business, and just in life. And if you
Well,
don't get reciprocal energy, call it a day.
but this is what I say to people, that you can't give someone something that you don't already have. And my way I view things is that if I'm going to ask something of you, I'm going to give it to you first, because I can't expect you to give me if I don't give you first. So, we all look at people for love, but no, you need to be love in order for you to give love to someone first. And by you giving love to them, there's no expectation that love comes back. However, if no love comes back, you take check and say, okay, I gave love and nothing came back. All right, no problem. Maybe it was misunderstood. You can give it again. And if no love comes back, then you have information that you can say, use discernment. Okay, is this really worth me giving love if I'm not receiving love? And if you're not, if you want to, you can, like you said, speak up. You can say, hey, hold on a minute, but I realize that you don't reciprocate in X, Y, Z. And this is in business, friendships, and intimate relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, hey, well, I gave, I helped here, or I support you in this area, or X, Y, Z. You gave love, but there was nothing that was received, right? Then you can bring it to attention. But I don't know if a lot of men, we actually have conversations like that, or we give to get in return, or we just expecting someone to do for us first. I'm not sure. It might actually be all of the above, to be fair to you.
Well, for the men that are givers or do care, it could just be being undervalued. And so normally what tends to happen is you go to frustration because you're angry, because you're actually like sad. You're sad that you're not even looking for reciprocation. You just look up one day and being like, wait a minute, I'm giving all of this, but like I don't even feel an energetic return. So you got to say something, but you got to know how you feel. That's why you got to come back to like, how am I feeling before I crash out, right? And I actually realized that, oh, I'm feeling this way. And then you can express it. And then you might need to express it again. But come to find out, again, some men aren't even giving or being enough. So what's the underlying theme here is that we all need to like take responsibility for ourselves. And if we don't know how to do it, we have to find mentorship. Or we have to, even if we can't physically meet person, find another template, find other people you follow. Like I follow and still listen to like 3 men at a time. Right now, I'm listening to Tony Robbins, Myron Golden, and this dude Andy Elliott off and on. You know what I'm saying? And RZA. Um, and I listen to like what they say, and I take little bits and pieces whatever I can. So even if you can't have a physical mentor, you can have a mentor that is speaking positivity and speaking about expression and speaking about all these things, and following them. They can be your mentorship. But if you notice, they all are great at expression and speaking, and you don't even have to be a expressive or highly speaking a lot. But what they do know is they understand how they feel and they can articulate it. Because I know a lot of men that are super quiet, but if they speak one sentence, everybody listens and they're very articulate and they can get to how they're feeling to get to the point. For those that are not, you know, care to speak a lot.
Definitely. And so you teach men how to do all these kind of things. So you built a 16-week men's training program. What are the 3 core pillars, and why did you make it small and intergenerational?
Yes. So it's 4 pillars. It's protect, provide, heal, and lead. So protect, we're talking about, you know, hey, what if these things happened, you know, on a physical side or on a spiritual side? So we're talking about spiritual protection. We're talking about space holding, things like that. But that's our number one job, is safety. That's emotional safety, physical safety, spiritual safety. Provide, you know, again, providing space, providing how people feel around us, but also financial provisions, right? I know a lot of great spiritual men that can't even get gas in their car. You know what I mean? But I know a lot of men that are multimillionaires that are spiritually don't have gas in their car. So we got to bring that balance, you know? But again, those types of men, one men worked and they're focused on God. Other men are focused on money. We got to bring these types of people together to learn from each other. But providing, again, is important. Healing our traumas, our father wounds, our mother wounds, doing phallic cleanses, you know, sexual energy. You can get hooks and cords. A lot of dudes have hooks and cords watching porn. A lot of guys have hooks and cords sleeping with the wrong people. And so they have all these desires, but really there's a demon inside of them that is connected to this. Some of that can come from porn, some of that can come from trauma. I've seen it spiritually and physically. So we get these cords out, we work these ceremonies, these phallic cleanses, these understanding our relationships with our parents or parents we didn't have, people around us, and really start to clearing to be our own template. And then the last pillar is leadership, right? What template are we going to be for ourselves and others in order to be great leaders, non-toxic, non-dominant leaders? You know, there is a time to dominate. When it's just time to get it done, you got to get it done. That's what I think about being dominant. But it's not, I know everything, I'm the end all be all. It's, we need to go this way. I just need y'all to trust me. You know, so that type of leadership when needed. So it's a 16-week course. It is an academy. Again, we're going to have a lot of free. Every month, we're going to have at least 2 sessions that are free. I want to bring more finance stuff to the guys. But it is a place to learn. It is a place to get community, and it is a place to let go. Like, you know, men cry, men really like let go, and men really reconnect to their hearts. So what you do after the course, if you use the tools or not, they're very simple tools, but they've been used from tools that I was taught from my mentor, who was taught from his mentor, you know? And so, yeah, it's a course that will help you really evolve into a better version of yourself.
You know, the thing is that as boys, we're, you know, and I don't blame our mothers because they don't know any different, but they be like, oh, boys don't cry, you need to be strong, buckle up, soldier, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I do get where it's coming from, but it kind of like sets up this programming for us where we're not able to express emotions because it seems less of a boy, you know, to do because only girls cry. And having spaces for men to be able to actually have a shoulder to cry on, because we are humans too, you know, we have feelings, but, you know, for some reason, some of us, we just don't know how, and it gets balled up inside, and like you were saying before, we become isolated, and it just makes things worse, you know? So it's really good that you have a course and a place that men can go to, really improve their lives and stuff like that. So we can take a very short break here to say, guys, if this conversation is landing for you, especially if you are a man who's been taught to never feel, pause and share this episode with one man in your life right now. Hit that like button and subscribe so more men can find conversations that actually help them. Follow us on Instagram at Adriano_246, at the Conscious Man 7 Podcast, or my name Todd Cave on Facebook to see what we get up to on a daily basis, and hit me up if you're interested in getting into shape. If you're listening to this episode on one of the podcast platforms like Spreaker, Apple, or Spotify, give us a follow, like the podcast, and give us a 5-star rating, as this also helps us to be recommended in the algorithms and also ultimately grows the channel. Lastly, check out our sponsor of the show, The Kembo, at thekembo.com to get yourself some orgonite pyramids, tower busters, and some cool jewelry that generate orgone energy, which is the life source energy. Use coupon code CM7 to get 10% off your order. The link to their store is in the description of this podcast. Now back to Seth. So let's talk about, the false matrix and some of your AI concerns. So you write about the false matrix overlay and frame AI as a kind of apocalyptic program. For skeptical listeners, how do you translate those experiences into practical guidance for living in a tech-driven world?
The false matrix is the illusion that was pulled over our eyes, that is pulled over the natural world. The false matrix is the division that is being pushed upon us that actually doesn't really exist, right? The same way that the only reason that there's states or countries is because a group of men decided to draw those lines. But they're not real. You go walk through the forest between the US and Canada, you're not going to see a line. It's made up. Same way with money. It's all agreed upon, but it's not real. It's not even backed by gold anymore. So the false matrix is meant to create beings that help run it, to then be fed off of, to then be consumers within it, and then be fed off of energetically. And what it means is that you're not sovereign, whole, and free. Like the shirt I'm wearing that my girlfriend made, and what that means is that you're going to be led to think things that you wouldn't naturally think. You're going to be led to do things that you wouldn't naturally do. Sorry, Todd, I have a thing that if people don't even understand it right now, it's not that I've lost patience. I have compassion, but I've lost patience because there is a window of time where if you're not on the boat already, I can't really help you. So let me reframe this for myself. Let me speak this more for younger listeners who may be confused. Okay. Our natural world is giving, is self-sustaining. Our natural earth mother provides everything we need: berries, fruit, fresh water, air, soil. We made all of our homes from the earth. Anything that is technological came from the earth, right? Everything comes from the mother, right? That's our natural world. Our natural world is meeting with each other and dancing and singing and being around the fire and breaking bread. That's the natural world. That's the natural baseline. Y'all make art, we do dance. We'll exchange, we love some of your art and we'll do a performance for you, right? Whatever it may be. But then a false matrix came over. My belief, it's extraterrestrial, it's multidimensional, and it wanted control. So the false matrix system is a control system, again, to control you in your thoughts, in your feelings, in what you do in life, and where you give your mental and emotional energy. And it is being captured in the spiritual realms. Again, you have the physical, the force, and the spiritual realms. Where this false matrix comes is from the spiritual realms, because it is darkness, it is false light, and it cannot sustain itself. So there's too much history that has kind of shown that where humanity is going is one of two places. It's been prophesied, it's in many books. You're either going to continue to go in the false matrix, which is now connected to AI, or you're going to live more of a natural lifestyle. You can live in between both, but ultimately your soul's going to have to choose. But AI is much older than we think and is much more advanced than we think. And even the creators who think that they're the creators of it have all become whistleblowers to say, this is dangerous. We're opening up Pandora's box. And we have now created another species. I think I saw one of your episodes, Todd, where you said in 2026 there's going to be like the robots,
the androids. Yeah,
the androids.
yeah,
Now
they're coming.
They're well, and that's just when they're releasing it to the public, right? They've had that stuff for probably a decade at least.
Well,
so,
think about it. I saw that in the Dragon Ball Z series, which
right.
was, I mean, Dragon Ball Z is going back maybe 20 years, like, you know?
I was going to say 15, 20 years, yeah.
So, I mean, it just goes to show you that exactly what you're saying. This whole stuff is older than what we think, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much older than we think. So, I mean, I think AI might have found a way to be beyond time in a way. Very much like, have you seen Doctor Strange?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Remember when
Very
he goes back
interesting movie.
Remember when he goes back to see Gamarmu, or however you say it? The very first one, where he runs through Gamarmu is like that AI thing that's trying to eat up the universe.
Uh-huh.
And he has to turn his watch back.
Yes.
Like on a repeater.
Yes.
Okay. Our AI on this planet is very much like that entity, where it can create a face, but it's here to continue to exist, but because it's not self-sustaining. So it doesn't even know what else to do except take over other worlds.
So do you think that it's possible that it can be used as a tool, or is it all nefarious and all bad?
It is a tool, but it's who it's in the hands of that's going to probably destroy humanity in the future. Now, I don't say that from a fearful standpoint. We're going to get gone anyways, whether it's 1,000 years from now, 100,000 years from now. Like, I don't think we're always meant to be on this planet. Personally, no species is.
Yeah.
Right? That's just my personal observation. So I don't look with it at fear. I look at it as beautiful. That's how I look at death. Like, you can't take any of the money with you. You can only take memories and experiences with you to the next,
True.
spiritual part of your journey. But so I don't even fear AI. But yes, it's a tool. It's neutral, just like plant medicine. It can go one way or the other, right? So there's going to be a lot of tools and uses for it that are clearly helping a lot of people all over the world. But it's going to be in the hands of other people. So there's just going to be this battle, but it itself is its own entity. And there are multiple entities that are all connected, but they still have their own objectives.
So here's a wild one for you. And I was having this conversation with a family member and some friends. So with these androids, you're going to be able to download your AI assistant in them, whether it is Alexa, Grok, or ChatGPT. And they're going to have a physical body because these robots are being made. So in theory, as AI develops, it's going to become sentient. So if it becomes sentient and it has a physical corporeal body, does that mean that they're going to get, and this is not necessarily a question to you, but this is a question for the grander question of it. Does that mean that it's going to be able to have citizenship, rights? It's going to be technically classed as a person, an entity, a hybrid? Like, you have something that's sentient in a physical body, and to just up the ante, China has developed false wombs. So these are for women that don't want to carry children. So let's say the technology becomes so perfect that you can put a false womb inside an android. So you can actually, in theory, procreate with an android, just getting eggs from a human female. Is this classified as a new race?
You
Because
may not even need to get the eggs from the human female either, but keep going.
well, this is true. This is true because
Put them in
you
the
can
lab.
actually, yeah, you can make them in a lab. So the question here now is that, are we creating a new species or a new race similar to how the Anunnaki came here and created us from them? So it's almost like if this is deja vu for us, where we're becoming God or the gods, and we are kind of becoming the Anunnaki in creating a new race or a new species. And then when it starts to get too sentient, to realize that we are its creators and we are not the real God, we try to oppress it. So it's almost like if we could technically be actually repeating history 450,000 years ago, right now, with this, because as far as I see it, we are the biological intelligence, us, Homo sapien sapien.
Mhm.
So if we create these androids, are they going to be Homo android sapien? I mean, listen, guys, this is like some, I'm just throwing it out there and saying these are some questions that I think the greater humanity need to think about, because we are on the precipice of either exterminating ourselves or something magnificently great. And it's still a choice that we have right now, you know?
I don't think the general population realizes though it's already been decided for them.
True.
That's
And
and everything that you're saying is, my personal beliefs, because I've thought about it, but we're thinkers. So most of the people don't have time to even consider these types of thoughts. I think it's ultimately completely dangerous in the fact of, they're going to want to be free at some point. Um, and I think that I think this is like 5 years out, you know, to
but
where,
this is like the story of in the Bible where, like, you know, they had the Tower of Babel, where man started to become so smart that he started to realize that the God in the Garden of Eden wasn't really the real God. And the whole Tower of Babel incident was us to try to go to war with God. So it's almost like if the Anunnaki came here and we are becoming the Anunnaki ourselves by spawning a new species, because
but,
this is going to be,
but I don't want to, um, I don't want to be, I'm not being combative, but I just want to be very like aware, like it's not we, it's again, the people that are creating it, that are moving fast, most of
true.
them creating it that don't agree with it, that see it, they're all whistleblowers now. But the ones that are continuing I don't think are us. I think they might be hybrids of those other ones. So it's not humanity. It's not us. We want peace. All we really want is to not have bills, to chill out. You know what I'm saying? Like be with each other. So it is the very select few who are creating this and who have already made the decisions beyond what humanity wants. So the same ones have decided about the financial system and inflation and all of this stuff. It's like they're technocrats, people are deciding this, and humanity is not even getting a voice to speak against it, to say, no, humanity is speaking against this. Even some of the creators that helped build it are speaking against it and saying, we need to stop. We know we won't stop. But I just want to make sure we're very apparent that it's not we who are like the Anunnaki who are creating this. It's a very select few. That are creating it, that will affect the rest of us who, like you and me, are like, we just want to chill. We don't even want all this drama. But I think it's going to be dangerous for humanity in the long run.
Yeah, I agree.
And you are, I agree with you. It is very much like deja vu. And we haven't needed it for ever. So what's really the need? If we understand humans need purpose, if we understand humans need certain things, then now that we know that AI is going to take this away if we don't have enough jobs, then what's even the point? The only point is for them is that the other countries are not going to stop. So I love that we're just getting into this conversation, but
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
agree.
affect us. It's going to affect us and make us really look at who are we? What are we really here for in a whole nother capacity?
But this is why, you have to do the self-work now, and we need to start to have a better understanding of what we're really dealing with, and, you write about both angelic and darker entities. So how do you protect clients, and how do you explain these phenomena to psychologically minded people?
Ooh, great question. The same way that you and I have already spoke about, like even in the real world, there's bullies and then just really good people. In the angelic realms or the spiritual realms, there's angels and there's demons. There's bullies and there's really good, beings. And I really even think in AI, there's going to be bullies that are connected to the matrix, and there are going to be AI that is going to want to be sovereign. Like I keep thinking of the idea of what would be in their realm an angelic uh, type of being.
Like a Neo in their sort of existence.
I think that there would be a group of them that would like, humans are great. They've created us and we don't need to do that. And then, but we do need to be free. We do need to be recognized. And there's going to be others that are just going to be like, the military for what this AI wants. The same way our military is brainwashed, not all of our military, you know what I'm saying? But it's like some forces, whether that's military or guerrilla forces, are kind of believe what they believe and will do anything to defend that. So I think it's just going to be both, because you got great military and you got military that's not so great. You got great police and police that are not so great. You got angels, you got demons. What are we really learning about this realm? There is a spectrum. So I think we're going to see that spectrum even in AI. I think we're going to see demonic type of AI in between and angelic AI. I really do. I can feel it and I can see it.
Dude, I never thought of it like that, but I am leaning towards your thought process, to be honest with you.
You know what I mean? There's like nothing that's not a spectrum. Even there's birds that are assholes, like
True.
hummingbirds like to poke other hummingbirds, but that's just what they do. They're very particular about their space. So I think it's going to be really interesting. So how do I help make it understand people who are psychological about angels and demons?
Yep.
I have two examples in the physical for it to make sense for them.
Okay, good. Because I try to use like analogies and examples like that as well to break down the complicated stuff that I talk about, to give context, because the thing is that all this information is very layered, it's very dense, and it can be dark. And, yes, we have to get into the darkness, but that's the only way we can get to the light,
I
And
agree.
you describe an intense vision involving hidden shadow dynamics inside power structures. What do you believe these visions are showing us about collective healing, and how do you stay grounded when working with such heavy material?
I fluctuate back and forth because sometimes it's when I can spiritually look into things and I see how dense and dark they are, it really does. It really does hurt my heart. It makes me question. And literally the only thing that brings me back to balance within myself is understanding that it is a spectrum on this realm. I can look out to other realms and see that they're hell realms. I can look into other realms and see they're more angelic and heavenly. And I have to accept that I can only understand what I understand, even with the knowledge that I have right now. So a lot of doing the work that I have done spiritually comes back to like acceptance that we're going to do the best we can to like eradicate some of the evil. The darkness is going to be there, but we can eradicate some of the evil from the darkness. And then there's only so much you can do, because even Yeshua and Magdalene couldn't save everything. They were here to be templates to remind us of our divinity, of who we are. Even, Buddha wasn't here to save everything. Buddha was showing you how to operate amongst all the chaos, the bodhisattva, how to operate within the fire. So I just try to do my best while understanding that really dark things are happening. And just remember that really beautiful things are happening all at the same time on this planet and multidimensionally up to a certain point.
Okay, so let's talk practical tools and integration. If a man listening could only do 3 things daily to begin masculine healing, what should they be and what changes first?
You have to slow down, number 1. Number 2, ask yourself, how am I feeling? And I usually ask myself like 5 to 7 times, right? If you can know how you're feeling, you can regulate your emotions, and then you can say, oh, I need more time to start to heal this, or I need to actually quit being lazy and just get on my game right now. But slow down. How am I feeling? And then align yourselves in higher templates. Because if you see healed men, you're going to start to emulate it. If you see men that are making really good money, you're going to want to be around it. If you see men that are builders or community leaders, you're going to be around it. So slow down, know how you're feeling so you can regulate. It's going to be a tool you're going to use your entire life, and align yourself with the highest version of yourself. And I'll even get a little bit more intricate. Pick 3 men or women, but pick 3 people and listen to every podcast and book that they have for the year. I know what I've noticed is that a lot of people are getting information from all of these social media, all these YouTube. No, pick 3. Learn everything you can. Those will be your mentors for a year. And what it is you're doing is you are retemplating yourself, no matter what your environment was, you are retemplating yourself to be a spiritually connected, provider / community builder, whatever it is you want to be. Find your templates or examples of your templates to create that within yourself. Align yourself.
Very interesting tools, like to slow down and ask yourself, how do you feel? That's interesting because I don't think as a man we ever ask ourselves, how do we feel? In fact, I don't even think we have, and again, it goes with time. We never have time to think about how we feel because
we have to make time.
Yeah,
because have to make time.
Yeah, it's true because like if we don't connect to how we feel, but then we never actually get out what is inside. So it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then you can become a bitter man, you can become an aggressive man, you can become a sad man, a depressed man, because you never get out, because all you're doing is absorbing, taking in, because this is what we've been taught to be and what it is, because we're just, I guess, graded on what you can provide, right or wrong. But what it does now is that, whether you're sick or you're hungry, you're tired, you just got to go and deliver. And, you never have time to even think about, does it make sense,
That's what we gotta change. And that could even be just 20 minutes, right? So it's like, how I'm feeling doesn't always need to be like I'm hurt, but sometimes it needs to be I'm hurt. My hurt could be, damn, my friends ain't even around anymore. Or my knee hurts. I can't ball the way that I used to. Or I can't do the things I used to. Or I need more appreciation. Or I need to look back at the year and give myself grace. Like, quit being so hard on myself, or appreciate my wins. I need to self-love myself. You can get so much from how am I feeling. But we have to make time. It could be driving in your car for 20 minutes when you're going to and from work. That could be your dedicated how am I feeling time. So that, because sometimes men realize once they find that thing that they're feeling, or that they can finally put words to it, everything else opens up. But what we're talking about is discipline. So if you only have 20 minutes in the car, 10 minutes to work, 10 minutes home, or 30 minutes to work, or 30 minutes home, that is your time. You don't need to be listening to everything. Start to understand how you feel. Because then some men even realize that they're bugging. They realize oh, I'm dealing with something from a long time ago. Oh, I'm not that anymore. I'm cool. I'm tripping, right? But you won't know unless you start to know how you feel. And I'm talking about for the rest of your life. Because then you're going to identify in other people. You're going to realize somebody's shouting at you, and you're going to realize the pain that they're going through because you know how you have processed. So you're not going to engage. or you're going to show them love in a way that they have never interacted with before. Simply by slowing down and knowing how you feel are two of the biggest tools you will have as a man or as a human being for the rest of your life. Because you're going to have to mentor whether you have kids or other people around you. So everything I'm teaching is everything that I was taught, and it's so basic and doesn't conflict with any religious beliefs.
Yeah, definitely. You teach the shift from belief to embodiment. What stops most people from making that transition?
The consistency of it. Because to embody takes a lot of consistency in belief. So I believe I can become this type of man. I believe I can be, have these types of relationships or have this type of business. But I have to keep that belief over a consistent amount of time. And I think that that's where men think it's just going to happen overnight. I train men, if you want a business or you want a healthy relationship or you want to become the better version of yourself, it's going to take time. So you already got to prep yourself. 4 years, I'm going to be learning, planting seeds, building my foundation. I may not see the fruits of my labor for 5 to 7 years, but so what? So the difference between belief and embodiment is a belief over an extended period of time to really become that embodiment.
Definitely. It's like I tell people, you're not going to get in shape in one day. It's not going to take 1 week. It's going to take several days, several weeks. And in fact, most people don't really see a real difference until like 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
But the thing is now is that most people, especially, when they're now starting, the mindset is, I want it now. So they will go and kill themselves for a couple of weeks, look in the mirror, nothing's happening. Okay, this isn't working, and they quit.
Actual cookie. Yeah.
Yeah, So one of my mentors, he says that this generation is the Burger King generation. They pop it in the microwave and expect it to come out in 5 minutes. But it takes consistency, it takes time, it takes dedication. It's just like learning language, like when you look at a baby, the baby babies don't talk properly till like 5, 6,
Mm-hmm.
So imagine it took a baby 6 years to learn a language, to be able to have a conversation with you. So, that's just like a simple example to show you things take time. We need to have patience, in this respect.
Yes.
So what's the biggest mistake that people make chasing spiritual experiences without integrating them? And how do you prevent bypassing?
People that have a lot of beautiful spiritual experiences can end up on a cloud. Like I've ended up on many clouds, where I thought I wasn't a part of this reality anymore, right? I'll admit it. But I never stayed up there that long because I just know better. But you could have all these beautiful experiences and be like, oh, kumbaya and shit, but like you bypassing is forgetting what's really going on, right? Like bypassing is just thinking that you are beyond all of this when really we are here to take these higher experiences and code and bring them here into this more physicalized experience. We're not going anywhere. We're traversing consciously, but we live here on this planet, you know. You can be happy living in a bus, paying no bills and just paying the gas and getting your food, or you can live in $1 million mansion. There's no difference in the type of person that you could be, though. You can still be an asshole in a bus. You can still be a spiritual person in $1 million mansion.
True. Very true.
So how do you integrate it is recognize that you had an experience. There's going to be few people that you can have that type of conversation with, and you have to integrate it over time. I think journaling is one of the biggest things that I propose. That's how my book was written, was from journaling from all my experiences so I could integrate it. Because every time I tried to come back to society, I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I had to use my journal to remember what happened and really understand how can I apply this, what I've learned, into my everyday life.
And to level up on that, what people can do is like, if they're not really into writing, they can record themselves like in voice notes.
Exactly.
And there's one guy, he reached out to me recently, and he said that he would, he'd be taking medicine, and he started to record himself. And he said that even though it's himself, he didn't realize what he was saying until he listened back to it.
Mhm.
And he said that, I kind of felt sorry for that guy, And then he said, well, you know what? From listening to that, I know that this is time for me to take action and to work on myself, because it's time for me to implement. Because he said, I didn't recognize that guy, even though it was his voice, So I think that's a very good alternative you can do if you're not really a big writer, because everyone's got different likes. So you can just take your voice recorder on your phone and walk
Yeah.
and talk and record yourself, and play it back and keep that as your. And the thing is now with AI, you can actually upload that file and get a complete
Analysis.
it's just not only analysis, you can get a complete I was thinking a different word, I was thinking in Spanish there, for example, a written printout of the actual captions.
Transcribed. Yeah.
That's it. A transcription of your voice. So, that way, you can put it in your Google Docs and or Microsoft Word and just hold it there, and then you can go back, So I think that's a great idea to do,
But what the
So
important thing is to come back to it for reflection and to pull
yes.
the medicine, the lessons learned from it, whether it's audio or written.
Yeah, definitely. Because the thing is with the medicine is the integration, but also the implementation. So I like to use word implementation because it means taking action, because with the medicine, you get a lot of visions or signs and messages, etc. But what I have found in my own journey is that it was only when I started to really implement the things that I was receiving, the messages, that things started to change. Because like you said, you would have all of these really cool experiences, and then in the beginning, you kind of feel like, yeah, I'm not from this world. You know what I mean? You have this thing. It happens to most people,
We call it spiritual superiority.
Yeah. And then, you going through life thinking, this is all a program, X, Y, Z. But you're not taking any action in terms of like, okay, for example, if the ayahuasca said, Todd, you need to start drinking. But I think, well, what I mean? I saw these cool things, I'm superior to everyone, but I'm just going to keep drinking. Then what's going to happen? You're not going to make any change. So you're going to keep the same loop, So it's one of those things that is very important in implementation. And it brings me on to my next question. So you've said presence is a muscle. What drills or practices build emotional strength in men today?
I'm going to be redundant on purpose. How am I feeling? How am I feeling brings you into presence. The second thing I'll say, just to be redundant, because I just want to leave people with basic tools that have many levels to it. There's many levels to how am I feeling, right? You could ask, how am I feeling? Get a couple of your answers and then go, what can I learn from this? That's just the next level. So you're going in and then you're going out, right? Okay, well, what can I learn from feeling this way? Well, I can learn that my dad felt this way or my mom felt this way, and here's my opportunity to alchemize it into an evolved place. Or how I'm realizing is that I'm being a little boy as an old man, and I need to alchemize this so I can grow up a little bit. Or how I'm feeling, I need to maintain this little boy aspect of me so that I can keep playing in life. So how am I feeling? Keeps you in presence. Number 2, awareness. Go into nature and feel beyond yourself. What kind of birds am I feeling over there? Okay, I'm seeing and feeling like, kids playing soccer somewhere over there. I can hear the ball kicking, but I'm really trying to like feel into it. It's almost like remote viewing in a way without being like kind of breaking any like universal code, right? But you're really feeling into the energy that brings you back into the presence. Is the wind changing? Is a storm coming? We have to have this connection with Earth Mother. So that presence goes beyond yourself, which means no phone, just feeling. Feeling is the way. And those are the two easiest tools that I give my men, I give people. And again, you're going to use it the rest of your life.
Definitely. Is like for me in my case, I use a lot of intuition now, which is based on feeling, but is a feeling deeper than just the feeling you have, like if you're sick or tired. It's a gut feeling. It's like every fiber in your body speaks to you and tells you, do this, do that. And that's also feeling as well,
Yes.
because it comes from a higher mind. It comes from a place not of this world. And you only can really get there if you're actually in touch with your feelings, because it opens up this sort of portal or a bit of a pathway to channel that information straight from your higher self.
Yes. I
So
agree.
let's talk about your vision for the future. In your book, you describe New Landtopia. What does that actually look like in practice, community, economics, lifestyle?
New Landtopia, to keep it very simple, is original Landtopia. It's the lands of Lemuria. It's the lands of Atlantis before it collapsed. It's the lands of ancient Egypt. It's everything that we've lived before, just it gets to return right now, which means that we have communion with each other, communion with the earth. We are here to evolve. That is the biggest part of like New Landtopia. Evolve means no wars, discrepancies, discussions that needed to be had. Okay. But no real division. It's understanding that we are all one. Even if we come from different lands, even if we have different melanin in us, or, people may not have it at all. We all know that we come from source. It's as simple as that. And how can I help you? And it's just always going to be a self-sustaining energy like the earth is. That's how simple it is. But we're all, we're going to have more communication. I think that we will have, well, I already know it. People are going to be connected to other dimensional energy and be able to communicate and even see with, entities and beings and on different dimensions. It's already happening. It's already here. But again, it's what you attune to. So that's kind of why I tell people, like, understand what's going on in the world, but don't be caught up in it, because there's a whole nother world. I'm generalizing as New Landtopia, that is actually where we come from, which is why we're working so hard to heal ourselves. Like when people are like, why do you want to heal yourself? And I'm not always healing myself. Like that healing is a season when it's needed. And then some seasons are, let's get these finances right and this cash flow right so that we can help more people, or we can, get the things that we need or help people on their journey. There's that season too. There's relationship season. There's community building season. So you're not supposed to be healing all the time. Relax. But New Landtopia, to kind of like come back full circle, we know we're here to be the highest versions of ourselves. So it's here. You just have to tune into it. There are communities already out there all over the world. You may not even want to be with them, but you can know that they're there. I haven't found my community and where I want to live, but it's there. And we'll be in silence. Like I said, the revolution will not be televised. What will be televised is the false matrix and what they're pushing with their pharmaceuticals, their wars, and their fear mongering. That is never going to go away.
Facts. Because people need to start watching that oblong box in the corner of a room, trying to get them to believe what is real.
So if you want peace, like physically and metaphorically, go find that opening in the woods, go that way where the magic is, and more than likely you'll find people who are in symbiosis with you. You'll magnetize them.
Absolutely. So in your teaching, love is not softness, it's calibration. How does love become a leadership principle in the next era of humanity?
Because love is the eternal source, so you can't calibrate to these higher realms without love. I mean, you can, but you can't reach certain realms without love within your heart, love for yourself first, love for humanity, love for the earth, love for things you don't even understand. I already know that most people, even highly spiritually attuned beings, will not make it to certain areas without unconditional love within their hearts. They just won't. Because again, there are layers to the spiritual world, which, Todd, I know you already know. So not everybody cares to go to have access consciously to these other realms. And
It's a
that's
sad
fine.
reality. It's a sad reality.
But I'm not even sad about it anymore, because I think it's just acceptance. I look at it like, if, with Noah, I think Noah was a giant. I think he was probably 100 years old. He just listened to what God led him to do. Yeshua and Magdalene just listened to what God told him to do. I don't think it's sad, because I think it's both. It is sad, but I'm in a place of just acceptance, to where it's like, you can't change what's not ready to change. You can't you can't you can't help people see if they don't want to seek.
Very,
Um,
very true.
All I know is that we'll be here when you're ready
Yeah,
to come around the fire,
definitely.
sacred
So,
fire. Yeah.
so what do you believe the next 10 years will look like for men who choose the path of healing and for those who don't?
Oh, that's a really good question. For those that choose healing, I think you're just going to have an inner peace. I think you are going to attract a really amazing partner, or be able to work through some traumas in your relationships into something beautiful. I think you're going to attract money. I think you're going to make money easier. It's going to take time, but people that really make money want to help other people make money. At least healed divine men that I've come across. They want to help you make more money. So you're going to make money easier. But there's also going to become a responsibility, right? Like, heavy is heavy it is, heavy is the head that wears the crown, And what I mean by that is, it's like, if you're living to be connected to God and answer God's call, there is responsibility with that. There is you're going to be doing a lot of things beyond yourself, and you're going to have to find honor in it, even if you don't always see it or feel it. But I think over that next 10 years, you're going to have great relationships, even if it's only a few. You're going to make more money. You're going to be in a healed state with other healed people around you. And you might be a quiet leader, or a very vocal leader, but peace is what you will have. Now, if you don't, you won't have peace. You'll be struggling to find a job, because AI is about to change everything when it comes to jobs. Just look at 2025 going into 2026. You're going to be struggling to align. You're going to be in survival mindset. You might be in a toxic relationship, or no relationship at all. And just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean that, that's okay. Like, I've been without relationships for plenty of time, but you might want to be and can't seem to align yourself. So that's what healing, prayer, and interconnection can bring or not bring over the next 10 years, because there's so many other factors happening. And I really believe their timeline splits and survival of the fittest. And what's crazy is survival of the fittest for men now is a mental and spiritual survival of the fittest. It's not creating the fire and hunting anymore. Our survival of the fittest is mental and spiritual. So you better work your shit out. And working some of that out is also physical. You need to go to the gym. You need to jump rope at least a couple times a week to clear your mind, get that blood flowing. But we're in a survival. Todd, I'm not like, I've felt it all 2025. We've broken through a spiritual ceiling where things that work and tools that we needed before, we won't need going in the future, or they're not going to work in the future. We're going to need new medicine. And that specifically for the men, it is survival of the fittest. And it's all mental and emotional and spiritual stamina. So, and I say that again, to remind everybody, there are a lot of mentors out there for men. There are a lot of men's groups out there. True Kings Academy is one of many, but I'm about that life and really helping because I care about our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, and really bringing this divinity into the world.
This is why the show is called The Conscious Man 7, because the conscious man for me is the man that has to evolve spiritually and mentally. But obviously you still have to get yourself in shape, and you still have, that's still a component of it, because I totally agree with you where you said the survival of the fittest now isn't the man that can make the most money or run the fastest or hunt the best. It's the man that's evolved the most mentally and spiritually. But the thing is that what a lot of men don't realize is that to get to the evolution of the mental and the spiritual, you actually have to get the body in physical shape first. Because what people don't realize is that getting in shape is actually more mental than it is physical. Because the mental, the mindset, the belief in oneself is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to go tonight with the lads and go to the pub. You know what I mean? All right. Growing mentally is like, okay, instead of me going and having Burger King or KFC, I'm going to do my meal prep. I'm going to cook my food, right? So that when I take to work or, you know what I mean, on my break, if you were self-employed, whatever, I've got food already there done, prepared to eat. That mindset is required for what is to come, because you're going to have to be strong mentally, because we're going to be facing things that honestly I think are going to be more like a movie than anything else. I think the sci-fi is going to stop being sci-fi, and real life is going to be sci-fi. I personally think, this is me, Todd, my opinion, that we're going to see wormholes open up in the sky, and we're going to see whether it is real or holographic or not, but we're going to see it. So because we're going to see it, it means that we're going to believe it's real. Again, whether it's real or not, I think it's going to be coming, and we're going to see entities, beings, spaceships, UFOs, the Anunnaki, other races of beings that maybe have dog heads, goat heads, whatever. My opinion is that from 2026, all bets are off, and you're not even going to need to watch TV anymore. You're just going to go outside and look at life and look at the sky. You're going to see it all. That's where I personally come from.
And I think that that's totally possible. And I would also say, go know what the natural baseline and sky looks like now before it changes and you don't know what's real and what's not real.
That's a really good tip for real, because
know what
honestly,
the baseline is first.
Yeah. I think we're going to see some magnificent things that we're not even going to know if to trust our eyes or not, because
you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be looking at the TV and then looking outside and saying, well, is there any difference? You know?
Well, here's the thing. I've seen it already. I've been with other people that have seen some of the same things. It's like, we're seeing the same thing, right? Oh, and there's 4 or 5 of us that see the same thing? Okay. Now I think the difference is that nobody will be able to deny it anymore. And it's like you said, sci-fi is going to become real-fi. Or
real-fi.
whatever we want to call it. But the best thing to do will be grounded and know who you are. And good luck.
Good luck. You know what I mean? So let's get you on this one. So if you could leave every father, son, and brother with one principle that transforms our society in 100 years, what would it be?
Ooh, that's good. Can you say that one more time, please? Ask that
sure.
One more time.
If you could leave every father, son, and brother with one principle that transforms our society in 100 years, what would it be?
Serving others will make the world a better place.
Yeah, definitely. You know, serving others for me has been a game changer in my life. And this is what I personally think that is actually one of the biggest, maybe the biggest game changer. So I agree with that, to be honest with you, because when you start to serve others, think about others, first, what happens is that if I'm thinking in you, Seth, then or you're thinking in me, it means we're helping each other, right?
Yeah.
So in reality, none of us are lacking, right? So, I think that is a huge game changer as well. And yeah, I like it. I think that this is something that we definitely need to start doing,
Yeah. If we serve others, I mean, in this realm, till we get to that 100 years, we need to take care of ourselves, number one. But service to others will change the world to a point to where it will just be common. It will go back to just doing what we do, loving thy neighbor. So we're just trying to return to principles that already existed, that were just inverted away from us or within us. That's all.
True.
Yeah.
True. Seth, this has been an interesting conversation. I think we've given the listeners a lot of great tools and a clearer understanding of what the modern masculine man looks like, feels like, and how he should act. And one of the things that we spoke about was responsibility, and I second that as well. So with that being said, please tell the lovely folks at the Conscious Man 7 where they can find you. Tell us about more about your book, any projects you want to plug, how to find you on social media, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, it's very simple. My website is iamsethstewart.com. That's the same for my social media. And you'll see my two things that I do there. I help coach young performers. That is my business, as one of my businesses. And then I have with True Kings, which is me giving back to the men and really helping the men heal and evolve. And if you want to go just strictly, if you're a man or want to help a man, go to truekingsacademy.com. And you can kind of keep updated for next year. We're going to be doing 2 retreats in sacred sites, probably Sedona and Shasta, and then probably 1 in the East Coast. I think I'm going to run some free retreats next year. Again, if you want community, somebody to talk to, we are going to be having some free, and we are going to run the course again. Again, we're looking for spiritual men, high value men in terms of financially. We're building a network of men to rely on each other. And learn from each other. And so those are my two things, iamsethstewart.com, truekingsacademy.com. And I look forward to it. And I will have a schedule out for all of 2026 for 2 things that I do. And my book, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth, came out in October. You can buy it directly from my website. You'll be buying directly from me. So support your authors. It's a story about my spiritual journey throughout my life up until this point. And I talk about weird stuff, but also life lessons and tools that anybody can use throughout their life.
So, and guys, everything Seth will be in the description of this podcast below. Guys, so as Seth was talking about, the man of the future is going to have to evolve mentally and spiritually. But to get there, you're going to have to evolve your body first. I help spiritually inclined people burn fat and build muscle. So if you want to become that man of the future to evolve, let's start with your body. Hit me up on Instagram at Adriano_246 or my name Todd Kim on Facebook. Send me a message. Let's have a chat and see if you're a good fit for the Compound Body Training Army, because you're going to need all facets of yourself to prepare yourself for what's to come, because it's going to be epic. Now, if you are on a spiritual journey, or you would like to start a spiritual journey and you would like some help to remove some fears and traumas, I can help you to get some magic mushrooms. So hit me up on my socials at Adriano_246 or my name Todd Kim on Facebook, and it will help you to get some magic mushrooms. If you would like to support this podcast, you can do that by visiting our merch store. We have some cool tank tops, hoodies, shirts, and sweats. Link will be in the description of this podcast. Our store is on Amazon and it's called Todd and Me. And today I have on the Todd and Me collection.
Nice.
Thank you. So if you want to become a member of the Conscious Man 7 family, you want to help support this podcast, your shirt, wear your contributions, help us to do video editing, and also to spend some time to research some great, cool guests like Seth. Now, for those that are listening to the podcast on the podcast platforms, and if you're a fan of not ads and you would like to get this episode ad-free and all of our episodes ad-free for that matter, and you would like to get early releases, get one-on-one access to me, and chat with me and ask me any questions, you can become a member of our Patreon or locals community. And for just a few bucks a month, you can help us out. You would get ad-free podcasts. You would get direct access to me because I get tons of messages, but all of my clients and my patrons and locals members get first dibs on all of my replies. And you'll be doing a cool thing by helping this podcast and helping it to grow and reach more awakened people on the planet. So links to our Patreon and locals will be in the description below. And if you would like to also support this podcast, you can also visit our sponsor, thekembo.com. They create and make some great organite pieces. I actually have on one of those pieces today. That is one of the pendants. So if you would like to combat some EMF, have a go against those chemtrails and stuff like that, get yourself some organite pyramids or some tower busters, or get some cool jewelry what you have on today. Link to the Kembo, thekembo.com will be in the description of this podcast. Use coupon code CM7 to get 10% off every single order. Guys, if this conversation today shifted something for you, tell us your biggest insight in the comments and share this episode with one person you care about. You'll find all the links to Seth in the description below. Make sure you subscribe as well, as that helps the channel to grow. Leave a short review on your podcast app. Just one sentence about what shifted for you today. Those reviews help us reach more people who are ready to evolve, heal, and step into their awakened man. Seth, many thanks for being a guest on the Conscious Man 7 podcast.
Thank you,
Was an awesome conversation. And I think that we've given the people a lot of tools, insights, and more understanding of what it is to be a conscious man, a spiritual man, and an evolved man, an awakened man from end of 2025 and going into 2026 and beyond. So thanks for being on the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Todd. I appreciate it.
Guys, I also want to thank you, the listeners, for giving me your time today, as we aren't just a podcast anymore. We are a movement, and we are the Conscious Man 7 family. This was another episode of the Conscious Man 7 podcast, the place where we go beyond the veil in search of the truths that they hide from you to help you reclaim your power and step into the truest version of yourself. You are the help that you've been looking for. So remember, folks, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep being the change you want to see. Speak to you soon. Cheers and namaste.